This is BBC One Scotland. Now Sports Scene with Rob McLean.
The Scottish Cup has been good to both Hearts and Celtic in recent seasons. Between them, they've lifted the trophy 9 times in the last 15 years.
Hearts have won the 10th Scottish Cup.
Celtic have won it on 6 occasions in that spell.
Silver at last for Celtic.
Neil Lennon was captain in 2007. And Gary Locke got his hands on the trophy in 1998. The teams approach today's match at opposite ends of the Premiership table, with Hearts desperate for an end to their financial troubles. But Celtic are only too aware of the challenge Hearts can present, with recent memories of being knocked out at Hampden. Hearts went on to win the Cup 2 seasons ago with an emphatic victory over their biggest rivals. But Celtic are the holders as they look to replicate last season's League and Cup double.
It's party time for Celtic!
Young Hearts are already looking forward to a League Cup semi-final. Premiership survival, of course, has to be their #1 aim, but they have the chance here to set off on a Scottish Cup run as well, although the degree of difficulty today couldn't be much greater. Celtic don't just plan to win this one. They want another helping of Hampden glory. They want to hold on to this Scottish Cup. 11 teams through to the 5th round of the competition. That includes now Aberdeen. 1-0 winners today against Partick Thistle at Firhill. Andy Considine getting the only goal of that game. 4 replays to come. We'll give you a little bit more details of that match at Firhill. And then our main attention turns to the big one here at Tynecastle. Live coverage coming up of Hearts against Celtic in the company of former Hearts midfielder Michael Stewart and former Celtic striker Mark McGee. Let's give you the team news immediately, and it's a Hearts side today showing one change from the team which drew here with Ross County last Saturday. And David Smith is a starter on the right side, and he replaces Callum Tapping for Gary Locke's team. As for Celtic, 4 changes from the team which lost in the Champions League at home to Milan in midweek. Scott Brown, Joe Ledley, Anthony Stokes all returning to the team, and Israeli midfielder Nir Bitton is a starter as well. No Kayal and Forrest, Samaras and Burigter are on the bench. So, Michael, big game for Hearts, but the big issue, the much bigger issue for Hearts supporters is the safeguarding of the future of the club. How confident are you that that's close to being settled?
Well, obviously the proceedings on Friday have gone in favour of the foundation of Hearts. It's a step forward. It's a very difficult situation that the club find themselves in, and it's still a very much of an unsure future. But as I said, what's happened on Friday is taking the club that step further to try and secure the future. I'm pretty confident that it'll not go down the liquidation route, that there will be a resolution, and that the foundation of Hearts will eventually take control of the club.
Let's hope for the best for Hearts. A big game facing them today. What impact, Mark, does Celtic's European exit have on this?
I think it was interesting to hear Neil, talking about moving on from that and feeling that regardless of how the pundits might see it, any criticism they might have had regarding their run in Europe and their failure to qualify, they feel as if they've done fantastically well to be there, come through a very difficult qualifying sort of games, and they're just going to move on from that. So I expect Celtic to be back at full pelt today. I don't expect them to lose any ground at all and be up for it. So I think it's going to be a really difficult game for Hearts.
This Scottish Premiership table, Michael, underlines the scale of the challenge facing Hearts today. -3 for them, plus 33 for Celtic. I mean, on paper, the home team have no chance here.
Yeah, of course. It's well documented the situation that Hearts find themselves in. It's not a pretty one, but regardless of what the table says, everybody anybody that's played the game will tell you that when it comes to the cup competitions, that it's just what happens on the day. And at Tynecastle, the games I've seen for Hearts this season, especially the games at home, they've never been overrun too much. They always manage to keep themselves fairly in touch. And obviously the game today against the champions, against Celtic, will be as big a test as they'll have had this year. But I do think that obviously Celtic are going to be the strong favourites. But I think that it'll not be a trouncing. I don't think so.
Before we talk more about this one, let's get the full story of what happened earlier at Firhill, Partick Thistle against Aberdeen, and John Barnes.
A fifth-minute headed goal from Andrew Considine was enough to decide this cup tie. Aberdeen dominated the first half proceedings and had chances to add to the lead, but two excellent saves from the Thistle keeper Scott Fox kept them out. Pollett had a volley turned away by Fox, and then a deflected Ryan Jack shot was stopped as well. Thistle were better in the second half, but they just couldn't find a way past a solid Aberdeen defence to find that equaliser. Callum Higginbottom had Thistle's best effort punched away by Jamie Langfield, while goal hero Considine showed his defensive qualities, blocking a late effort from Isaac Osborne. On 3 of the previous 6 occasions that Aberdeen have beaten Thistle in the Scottish Cup, they've gone on to win the trophy. Is the same going to happen this season? The Dons fans will be hoping it's an omen. It finished here at Firhill, Partick Thistle 0. Aberdeen 1.
And highlights of that match tonight on Sports Scene, along with highlights of this one as well, and all the goals from yesterday's matches and indeed Friday night in the William Hill Scottish Cup as well. Mark, it's an interesting Celtic team selection today because Brown and Mulgrew are so strong in that central midfield area, both for their club and for their country, with which you're very much involved. But the inclusion of Beaton and Ledley might just squeeze them further out.
We can't be sure exactly where Charlie Mulgrew and Scott Brown are going to play, but I think they are the strongest midfield pairing in Scotland at the moment, and certainly they are the first choice in the national team.
How much has this guy been transformed as a player?
I think not only has he been transformed as a player, but I think he's found a new level of kind of maturity as a guy. I think he's grown up. I think you see him now taking responsibility, and I think even this season, as the season's progressed, we're not even at Christmas yet, I think we've seen an improvement in him, and I think he's now a proper player. He's enjoying playing in midfield, and he's a great partner for Scott Brown. Yeah, Scott Brown's so influential for Celtic.
The two of them are a great balance for each other, I think, and it goes without saying that they've done so well for Celtic that the natural progression is to the national team, where there's been a revelation.
Let's have a look at a couple of key players for Hearts today. I mean, obviously it's really important how they defend. They have to get that part of it right. I mean, so much responsibility for Danny Wilson. Has his game suffered because he's having to look after even younger players round about him? Possibly.
I mean, again, it's always more difficult when you drop down. It's a lot easier to play with better players. Danny Wilson's only a youngster. I think he's still only 21 years old. I don't think he's a natural sort of leader. We're talking about Charlie Mulgrew and his character. I think he's not a natural leader, whereas this guy, Ryan Stevenson's a bit more of a energetic, real sort of in people's faces, and it's possibly the sort of thing that Hearts need. Somebody that's going to grab the game by the scruff of the collar at times and just say, we're going to win this. I just think that Danny's game's maybe suffered a little bit, but Ryan Stevenson, he's very, very important for Hearts.
Let's hear what the two managers have to say, Neil Lennon, and firstly Gary Locke with Chris McLaughlin.
Gary, once again it has been another massive week for this club off the field. Is there a newfound optimism after that CVA was agreed in principle?
Yeah, I think it gave everyone a huge boost, but it is important. That's kind of the first hurdle over. We've still got a long way to go, but certainly it was great to get a bit of good news for a change.
Let's talk on the pitch. A massive game today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic game for everyone. Said that to the players in there. Although we're a young side, what an occasion. Playing against the champions, the cup holders at Tynecastle. It'll be a great atmosphere. So go out and enjoy the occasion. Go and express themselves, and if we do that, hopefully we can get the right result.
Pressure off?
Yeah, I think so. I think all the pressure's, for me anyway, is on Celtic, because everyone expects them to win. So the boys can go out and enjoy it, and if we're disciplined, organised, and play as well as we did against them earlier on this season, I think we've got players that can cause them problems as well.
Gary, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Neil, have you had a job lifting your squad after the disappointment of Tuesday?
No, not really. I don't think they've anything to be down about. They've competed at the highest level, and that's where I want them to compete. And you know, we pick up where we left off now. You know, domestically, it's a competition we're defending, and I want us to play as strongly as we can today.
And I suppose a win against Hearts in the Scottish Cup might provide the perfect tonic anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a big ask to play in the Champions League and qualify from a group that was as tough as that. We played okay in large parts of it, so that's a positive. And what we want to do is get back there as quickly as we can next year again and sample it all again. And yes, you know, it's a cup competition that we'd dearly love to win. Difficult tie away from home, but you know, the players will be very motivated today.
Hearts say all the pressure is on Celtic. Do you agree?
Well, so what's new? You know, so I don't think there's a game I've not been involved in where the pressure is on us to win the game. So it'll not make any difference to me or the players.
The noise level is beginning to rise outside. It's such a great venue for any football match. Mark, good memories of this place?
Yeah, I mean, I used to get a lot of goals against Hearts with Celtic. I scored a few times here. Always a great place to come and play. I mean, always a place where you knew you could get beaten. There's no doubt about it. You came here, you were always had to be on your game because you knew you were in for a tough match. The fans are fantastic, you know, sticking by the club the way they have. You know, they'll generate a terrific atmosphere. I think it's one of obviously the games that they enjoy is that the Celtic coming here. You know, so it's the makings of a great game.
Michael, are there realistic hopes today of a cup upset?
Well, as I said earlier, you know, it's a cup match, so there's always an opportunity, there's always a chance. It'll be a very, very difficult game for Hearts to get anything from, but I think at Tynecastle with the support behind them, there's always an opportunity of them getting something.
We spoke about the Celtic team selection. I mean, there's only one change for Hearts. There are very few changes week to week. Team selection for Gary Lock because there's nothing else he can do.
It's a thankless task at times that you know, if guys have dropped in form a little bit, you know, they've not really got anything to change. Anybody else to come in. There's any injuries as well, things that naturally happen through the course of a season. So there's very little opportunity to mix and match the team, and we see that today. There's one change, but there's not a great deal that Gary Lock can do.
So we're all set in Gorgie for an intriguing Scottish Cup tie. In the fifth round of the competition, the chance to reach the last 16. Live coverage coming up. You'll hear from Billy Dodds and our commentator Liam McLeod.
The last two winners of the famous old trophy going head to head at Tynecastle in what is the standout tie of this year's fourth round. And while Heart of Midlothian still have bigger battles to fight off the park, a cup run is something that not only mentally boost their fight to stay in the top flight, it would also provide them with a financial return. The problem for them is that up against a Celtic side who will be hurting from their midweek European exit, and since their defeat at the hands of Hearts in the semi-finals the season before last, they have cantered to victory each time they have come here, scoring 11 in just 3 games. The timid nature of the Holders' defeat by AC Milan will also have sparked a determination from their manager that the least they can do now is retain their league and Scottish Cup double. Now we're into December, the fourth round of the Scottish Cup, the last of the fourth round ties to be played this weekend. Still some to be sorted out at a later date. Aberdeen getting their place in tomorrow's draw by beating Partick Thistle in today's early kick-off. The players couldn't ask for better conditions for today's game. The pitch looking good, the skies above still blue, floodlights beginning to come on as well. And now, as with all Scottish Cup ties this weekend, there will be a minute's silence observed as a mark of respect for those who lost their lives and those who remain injured in hospital following the horrific helicopter crash on Stockwell Street in Glasgow on Friday evening.
Folks, in keeping with other sporting events this weekend, we want to pay our respects to the bereaved following Friday night's tragedy in Glasgow. We ask, please, respectfully, that you join us right now in taking some time out in silence.
Well, Gary Locke has a small squad to choose from. The guys were just talking about that, but he has decided to start young David Smith on the right, with Ryan Stevenson supporting Callum Patterson. Jamie McDonald in goal is the only man in that lineup who started the 2012 Scottish Cup final. Scott Robinson in midfield came on as a late sub. Neil Lennon drops Borigta and Samaras to the bench, with Kayal and Forrest out altogether. The Israeli Nir Beaton replaces compatriot Kayal in the middle. Stokes has scored 5 in 14 against Hearts in his career, including here at Tynecastle in a 3-1 league win in September, with Joe Ledley also restored. There's no one over the age of 20 on the Hearts bench. The King brothers feature on it, with Callum Tapping left out from the start. Teemu Pukki, the Celtic striker from Finland, has 2 goals for the club. One of those came on his debut.